Namo Buddhaya. Imagine a world filled with noise, where every second is occupied by the hum of daily life, the chatter of conversations, and the endless notifications of our devices. But within this chaos lies an incredible secret, a profound power hidden in something as simple as silence. This story is not just about refraining from speaking. It's about transforming your mind, unlocking inner peace, and discovering a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you. In this journey, we will unravel the story of a disciple who embarked on a life-changing vow of silence under the guidance of a wise Buddhist monk. We will explore the spiritual, emotional, and practical implications of silence, weaving in real-life examples, historical insights, and Buddhist teachings. Prepare to uncover the life-changing power of silence. The Talkative Disciple. In a bustling village surrounded by lush greenery, there stood a revered hermitage led by a famous Buddhist monk, often referred to as a modern embodiment of wisdom. Among the many disciples who resided there, one stood out, not for his virtues, but for his incessant chatter. This disciple spoke constantly, filling the air with stories, gossip, and self-praise. Despite his outward confidence, his words often reflected an inner turmoil. He claimed superiority over others, emphasizing his sacrifice of a privileged life to join the hermitage. His chatter not only disrupted the tranquility of the ashram, but also created a barrier between him and the profound teachings of the monk. The monk's challenge: silence as a resolution. One day, the Buddhist monk summoned all his disciples. He proposed a challenge. Each disciple was to take a vow for a month, choosing a resolution that would test their discipline and determination. While others selected modest resolutions, the talkative disciple demanded a challenge that would match his greatness. The monk, with a knowing smile, assigned him the seemingly simple task of complete silence for a month. The disciple, confident in his abilities, accepted the resolution, dismissing it as trivial. The first days, the outer silence. Initially, the disciple found the vow manageable. However, as days turned into weeks, the true challenge revealed itself. He realized that while he had silenced his voice, his mind remained a cacophony of thoughts, questions, and judgments. The absence of external expression only amplified his inner turmoil. The inner struggle. Unable to bear the mental noise, the disciple approached the monk through written messages, expressing his struggle. The monk's response was profound. Silence is not merely the absence of speech, it is the quieting of the mind. He encouraged the disciple to persevere, reminding him that breaking his vow would only hinder his spiritual growth. A journey into solitude. Determined to conquer his inner chaos, the disciple ventured into the nearby forest. Surrounded by nature, he sought solace and clarity. Days turned into weeks, and gradually the relentless chatter of his mind began to fade. For the first time, he experienced the symphony of nature, the rustling leaves, the chirping birds, and the flowing streams, all in perfect harmony. The transformation. After months of solitude, the disciple returned to the hermitage. His transformation was evident. His once restless demeanor was replaced by a serene presence. His words, now fewer and measured, carried wisdom and kindness. When he asked the monk if his resolution was still on, the monk confirmed that true silence is not about refraining from speech, but about achieving peace within. The teachings of silence. The monk elaborated on the profound teachings of silence. Energy conservation. Words are powerful, but excessive talking depletes our energy and distracts us from introspection. Clarity of thought. silence allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment, leading to greater self-awareness. Better communication. Listening deeply to others fosters empathy and understanding. Spiritual growth. By silencing the mind, we connect with our inner self and the universal truths, real-life applications of silence. The power of silence is not limited to spiritual seekers. Here are examples of how silence can transform everyday life. In relationships, silence can prevent misunderstandings and promote deeper connections. In workplaces, quiet reflection leads to better decision-making and creativity. In personal growth, practices like meditation and mindfulness are rooted in the art of silence. Historical context: the role of silence in Buddhism. In Buddhist tradition, silence has always been a cornerstone of spiritual practice. From the meditative solitude of the Buddha under the Bodhi tree to the monastic vows of silence observed in monasteries, the teachings emphasize the importance of turning inward to discover enlightenment. Real-life stories of transformation. We delve into stories of individuals who embraced silence to overcome challenges. A corporate leader who used silence to manage stress and lead with clarity. A teacher who implemented silent classrooms to enhance focus and learning. A survivor of personal loss who found healing through silent retreats. Practical steps to embrace silence. Start small. Dedicate a few minutes daily to silent reflection. Practice mindfulness. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Create a silent space. Designate a quiet area in your home for introspection. Join silent retreats. Explore deeper silence through guided retreats. The multi-layered power of silence, insights, and practices. To truly understand the power of silence, we must delve into its multifaceted nature. Silence is not a single-dimensional practice, but an intricate tapestry that interweaves mental, emotional, and spiritual layers. Below, we expand on each layer, drawing deeper connections to Buddhist teachings, real-world examples, and transformative practices. The mental layer. Silence as clarity. The Buddhist monk's advice to the talkative disciple highlights a universal truth. Our minds are often louder than our words. The inner dialogue, thoughts about the past, worries about the future, and judgments about the present, creates a never-ending stream of mental noise. Silence helps break this cycle, allowing clarity to emerge. Scientific backing. The brain on silence. Modern neuroscience echoes the ancient wisdom of Buddhism. Studies show that silence activates the brain's default mode network, DMN, which is associated with self-reflection and memory consolidation. Regular silence reduces cortisol levels, calming the nervous system and enhancing problem-solving skills. Example: a corporate executive, overwhelmed by work stress, adopted a daily silence practice. She spent 15 minutes each morning in quiet reflection, which improved her focus and decision-making, leading to a more balanced life. The emotional layer. Silence as healing. Silence is a balm for emotional wounds. When we stop externalizing our emotions through endless talking, we begin to process them internally. This inner processing is crucial for healing. The Buddhist perspective on emotional silence Buddhism teaches that emotions like anger and envy arise from ignorance and attachment. Silence offers a space to observe these emotions without acting on them, allowing us to transform them into understanding and compassion. Real-life story. A grieving mother attended a silent retreat after the loss of her child. Through silence, she faced her pain head-on and found the strength to honor her child's memory through acts of kindness, transforming her grief into a source of light for others. The spiritual layer. silence as awakening. The spiritual power of silence lies in its ability to connect us to the present moment, which is the only reality. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of mindfulness, a state of being fully present without judgment. Silence naturally cultivates mindfulness. Historical insight: the Buddha's enlightenment. The story of Gautama. Buddha's enlightenment is a testament to the power of silence. Sitting under the Bodhi tree in deep meditation, the Buddha confronted his inner demons, not through argument, but through silent observation. This profound stillness led to his awakening. Practical exercise. Try a mindfulness walk in nature. Walk slowly, focusing on each step and the sounds around you. Let silence guide you into the present moment. Silence in relationships, building bridges. One of the most transformative aspects of silence is its impact on relationships. Communication is not only about speaking, it's equally about listening. Silence enables us to listen more deeply, fostering empathy and understanding. Example: a married couple on the brink of separation agreed to spend one evening a week in silent reflection together. They used this time to reconnect through nonverbal communication, strengthening their bond and reigniting their love. The Buddhist view on right speech Buddhism advocates right speech as part of the Noble Eightfold Path. This involves speaking truthfully, kindly, and purposefully. Practicing silence helps us filter our words, ensuring they align with these principles. Expanding the story: the disciple's return. Let's revisit the talkative disciple's journey. Upon returning to the ashram after months of silence, his transformation was evident. But what exactly had he learned during his time in the forest? Here, we can expand the narrative by exploring the disciple's reflections. The noise of the mind. In his solitude, the disciple observed how his mind clung to old grudges and insecurities. He realized that these inner voices were the true cause of his restlessness. The power of nature. Immersed in the forest, he discovered the profound stillness of the natural world. He learned to harmonize his inner silence with the outer silence, finding peace in simplicity. The universality of silence. The disciple's most profound realization was that silence is universal. It transcends words, connecting all beings in a shared space of understanding. Practical applications for modern life. The lessons of the disciple's journey can be applied in various contexts. Below are expanded practices to integrate silence into daily life. 1. The silent morning ritual. Begin each day with 10 to 15 minutes of silence. Sit comfortably, focus on your breath, and let your thoughts settle. This practice sets a calm tone for the day. 2. Silent meals. Practice eating in silence, savoring each bite. This enhances mindfulness and gratitude for the food you consume. 3. Digital silence. Designate certain hours of the day as digital-free zones. Turn off notifications and immerse yourself in the quiet. Historical practices. Silence across cultures. While silence is central to Buddhism, it is also revered in other traditions. Christianity, monastic orders like the Trappists emphasize silence as a path to God. Sufism. Silent meditation is a key practice for Sufi mystics seeking divine union. Native American traditions. Silence is seen as a way to connect with nature and ancestral wisdom. Example: a modern mindfulness retreat in the U.S. draws from both Buddhist and Native American traditions, blending silence with rituals like drumming and nature walks. Analyzing Buddhist teachings on silence Buddhism offers nuanced insights into the nature of silence. For instance, silence as speech. The Buddha often used silence as a teaching tool, allowing disciples to find answers within themselves. The silence of noble ones. In Buddhist texts, enlightened beings are described as possessing noble silence, a state of inner and outer calm. Breaking down the monk's final lesson. When the monk told the disciple that true silence is internal, he encapsulated a profound truth. Silence is not about abstaining from speech, but about transforming the mind. Let's unpack this lesson further. Layer 1. Silence begins with restraint, refraining from unnecessary words. Layer 2. It deepens into observation, watching one's thoughts without attachment. Layer 3. Finally, it culminates in transcendence, a state of pure awareness. Exploring the deeper dimensions of silence. To take our exploration even further, we can dive into the philosophical, psychological, and spiritual nuances of silence. Silence, as a practice, is more than just refraining from speaking. It's a gateway to personal transformation, societal harmony, and even universal connection. Here, we continue to expand on the layers of silence, offering deeper insights, practical guidance, and inspiring examples. The philosophical essence of silence. In philosophy, silence is often described as the foundation of wisdom. Thinkers across cultures and ages have emphasized the importance of quiet introspection for understanding life's greatest mysteries. Eastern philosophy. In Zen Buddhism, silence is considered the ultimate teaching tool. Zen masters often respond to questions not with words, but with silence, allowing the student to discover answers through introspection. Story expansion. Imagine the disciple in our story experiencing this Zen approach. While grappling with his inner turmoil, he recalls the monk's silent gaze, a gaze that said more than words ever could. This silence, though unsettling at first, became the catalyst for his inner transformation. Western philosophy Greek philosopher Pythagoras required his students to practice silence for 5 years before they could engage in philosophical dialogue. He believed silence cultivated discipline, clarity, and receptiveness. The psychology of silence. Psychologists have long studied the impact of silence on mental health. The findings reveal that silence isn't just beneficial, it's essential for emotional regulation, cognitive clarity, and overall well-being. How silence affects the brain. Silence activates the brain's hippocampus, a region associated with memory and learning. Prolonged periods of silence also stimulate the growth of new brain cells, enhancing neuroplasticity. Example: a tech entrepreneur, constantly bombarded with information, attended a silent retreat. By disconnecting from the noise, she not only reduced her anxiety but also developed innovative ideas for her business. The role of silence in stress reduction. When we're silent, our bodies shift from a fight-or-flight response to a rest-and-digest mode. This physiological change lowers blood pressure, improves digestion, and enhances immune function. Exercise. Practice micro-silence by pausing for a minute before responding to stressful situations. Notice how it calms your mind and allows you to respond thoughtfully. Spiritual silence, the gateway to awakening. In Buddhist teachings, silence is often described as the language of the divine. It is through silence that one can connect with the deeper truths of existence. The 3 levels of silence in Buddhism. Outer silence, the absence of speech and external noise. Inner silence, the stilling of mental chatter. Transcendental silence, a state of union with the present moment, free from duality. Story expansion. Imagine the disciple deep in the forest, reaching transcendental silence. As the chatter of his mind faded, he felt an overwhelming sense of oneness with the world around him. The rustling leaves became a song, and the flowing stream a hymn, each moment a meditation. The role of silence in society beyond individual transformation, silence has the potential to reshape societies. In a world dominated by noise, both literal and metaphorical, silence can act as a counterbalance, fostering understanding and unity. Conflict resolution through silence. Words often escalate conflicts, while silence can de-escalate them. By choosing silence, we create space for emotions to settle and solutions to emerge. Example: a community leader mediating a heated debate asked participants to sit in silence for 5 minutes. The result? A calmer, more constructive dialogue. Silence in leadership. Great leaders, from Mahatma Gandhi to Nelson Mandela, have used silence as a tool for reflection and decision-making. Their quiet strength inspired others and brought clarity to complex situations. Historical practices of silence. Expanding on the cultural dimensions of silence, we can explore its historical practices across civilizations. Indigenous traditions. Many Native American tribes practiced silent counsel as a way to honor the wisdom of nature and ancestors. Eastern monasticism. Buddhist monks and nuns have long observed vows of silence to deepen their spiritual practice. Western hermits. Christian hermits, such as the Desert Fathers, retreated into silence to connect with God. Expanding the disciples' journey. A detailed chronicle. The disciples' transformation can be explored in greater depth by imagining the specific challenges and revelations he faced during his silent retreat. Day 1 to 5. The struggle with noise. The disciple wrestles with the overwhelming noise of his mind. Memories, fears, and desires surface, forcing him to confront his inner chaos. Day 6 to 15. The breakthrough. Slowly, the noise begins to fade. The disciple learns to observe his thoughts without attachment, finding moments of peace. Day 16 to 30. The awakening. Immersed in nature, the disciple experiences profound stillness. He realizes that true silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of awareness. Practical applications. Bringing silence into everyday life. To help viewers apply the lessons of silence, here are expanded practices. 1. Silent journaling. Spend 10 minutes a day writing down your thoughts in silence. This practice helps externalize mental noise and brings clarity. 2. Digital detox. Set aside 1 day a week to disconnect from all devices. Use this time for reflection, nature walks, or creative activities. 3. Community silence. Gather with friends or family for a silent meal or meditation session. Share your experiences afterward to deepen your connection. The ultimate lesson. Silence as presence. The disciple's final words to the monk reveal the ultimate lesson of silence. It's not about suppressing speech, but about cultivating presence. By becoming silent within, we can fully engage with the world without being consumed by it. Example: expansion. The disciple's newfound presence impacts the ashram. His calm demeanor inspires others to adopt silent practices, creating a ripple effect of peace. Silence as a path to freedom. Silence is more than a practice. It's a way of being. It frees us from the tyranny of our thoughts, the noise of the world, and the limitations of words. By embracing silence, we can discover our true selves and contribute to a more harmonious world. As you reflect on this story, consider how silence could transform your life. Start small, stay consistent, and watch as the echoes of silence bring peace, clarity, and awakening. Have you ever wondered why some people have the natural ability to make everyone feel comfortable, appreciated, and understood? You might think it's their charm or their words, but often it's something much more subtle. It's the way they listen. Imagine sitting in a conversation where the other person seems to be hanging on your every word, fully present, deeply engaged. Wouldn't that make you feel valued? In a world that constantly demands our attention and prompts us to speak up, the real secret to being liked is surprisingly simple. Listen more and talk less. In this video, we'll uncover a hidden gem of human interaction, the art of active listening, and explore how mastering this skill can transform your relationships, both personal and professional. The story begins, a lesson from the past. Still fresh in my mind is a lesson from childhood that continues to resonate. I remember one of my teachers entering our noisy classroom, raising her voice to ask, "Do you know why we've been given 2 ears and 1 mouth?" At that moment, the class fell silent. She smiled and explained, "It's so we can listen more and talk less." That simple statement stayed with me. Little did I know, it was a key to understanding how we interact with others. As I grew older, I began to realize just how important that lesson was. So often, we rush to fill silences with our words, eager to share our thoughts, opinions, or solutions. But in doing so, we miss an opportunity to truly connect with others. Listening, it turns out, is the doorway to empathy and understanding. Why listening matters. Insights from the temple. At our temple, countless people come to speak with the monks about their personal struggles. One recurring theme is the feeling of not being heard. "No one listens to me," they say. Whether it's issues at home or difficulties at work, people are desperate to feel understood. And when they feel ignored, it only deepens their sense of isolation. In contrast, the practice of active listening can turn these experiences around. When you genuinely listen without rushing to offer advice or interrupt, you create space for others to share their stories, their pain, and their joy. This simple act of attention can change how others perceive you. In fact, it's a trait that can make you more likable. People gravitate toward those who make them feel heard. Lessons from the Buddha. Compassion through listening. Throughout his life,